How's it going with you, Eric?
It's going okay. I've been, I've obviously, finished the Mr. Big. We did like some press and some performances in Japan, and did like some, tons of interviews lately, and I'm doing good. Hey, man, who doesn't like talking about themselves? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, certainly when you're in Mr. Big.
Yeah. That was like, that's a good shock, actually, to me. It's good to be back, trust me. 15-year struggle.
Now, you guys have a new video undertone. Now, this song, grabs, the people again. This has got the classic Mr. Big at its best.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of that?
I think it's great. I mean, it's got all the, Mr. Big elements in it. You can hear kind of Daddy Brother and Take Cover in that song, and I'm amazed that the people actually still kind of like this band. I mean, I know that 15 years ago, the original lineup. I mean, we definitely captured the hearts and minds of the rock fans and stuff. But we broke up, and we never got back together for so long. And me as a fan, like when Aerosmith broke up a long time ago, and Van Halen, and they never got back together for so. I mean, they didn't get back together for so long. I was pissed off. I was like, hey, I got your CD. I'm in the club. I'm kind of like the fifth member of your band, And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, if you guys don't get back together, I'm not gonna buy your records anymore. It's like, I'm pissed off that you're doing this to me. And they did get back together, and I still was a gigantic fan, but I was like, I was hurt, and I know that we kind of left our fans hanging. We had our bullshit miscommunication breakdown. Well, it wasn't bullshit. I look at it bullshit now because it really wasn't that bad. It was just kind of stressful times, and but that we got back together. I'm amazed, but I'm also, ever thankful that people kept the door open for us and keep the home fires burning, so to speak, and the fact that people are really digging this record, and that's the best thing I can hope for.
And now, it's not advertising on MTV and Much Music. Now it's YouTube. What do you think of that?
That is weird, man. I gave up on MTV years ago. I mean, it was a great and powerful Oz, great tool for publicity and all that. And then, after game shows and the musical climate changed in the middle 90s, it was like, uh-oh. It was like at the end of a movie or at the end of a TV show, like the cliffhanger. What happens to rock? But yeah, YouTube, man. Oh, good for them. Good for us.
Good for everybody.
Yep.
Your artwork on this album, where this all come from?
Oh, you mean the pig?
Yeah.
You mean a pig with wings? Well, for the longest time, that what if thing, that was circling around the band for years. We'd bring a song in, and somebody would say, it doesn't kill me, or that's cool. What if we did this? And it seemed like a kind of like a monkey wrench, or like somebody would say, what if? It would be like, well, that's in a way like a positive sentiment, because they're trying to make something happen, something positive to happen, or like inventing something new. Paul says, what if is like the power of imagination. And it is. It's like it's a powerful tool. What if Mr. Big got back together? What if the boys came home and the war was over, What if the world was flat? No. But it was just something, it was just kind of a funny thing that we used to say, or, something like I just said, like an invention. And we were in the studio, and obviously, I mean, you don't know this, but like, our manager Tim would say, "Hey, you guys got to come up with an album cover." And you can't try to be funny. And we've had funny album covers in the past, but we weren't in a funny mood. We were trying to make this record, and it wasn't. And we only had 2 weeks to do it. And Pat was sitting in the lounge just one day, and he's like photoshopping stuff as usual. And he takes his pig and he puts some wings on it, turns around and he goes, "What if?" And for about an hour and a half, it was funny. And that was it. It was kind of corny, and we went, "Hey, man, that would make a cool album cover." And when we put it together, and we had this guy, Larry Fremantle, who had done all of our earlier records, and, it's obviously a collaborative effort, but, put some humor into it. Like one of our albums is called Hey Man, and it's a scarecrow, with a car steering wheel. Hey Man, H-E-Y. I mean, how like that old saying, like, my parents used, a hay truck would go by and go, "Hey." So it's like that, real corny humor, but just something to, show that this band has, that they're, I mean, we're serious about our rock and roll, but, not taking everything serious. And when we put this together, I just realized the other day, I was like, if you actually put your finger on the part of the B, it looks like Mr. Pig. Anyway, it was just something corny and kind of cool.
Now, Eric, recording this album, how was that? The process of doing this.
Well, the process was just what I wanted back in '89,
okay,
and never got. And then because I always wanted to have the band play live, like everybody together. Every time we've done it in the past, we've done a couple songs live, but for the most part, Billy, Pat, and Paul are live, and I come in and I do a guide vocal, and then I go, to the Bahamas for like 2 weeks. That's not true, but like I basically just sit there and watch them for 2 weeks. Yeehaw! I always hated the studio experience. I hated it because everybody would gather around and watch the band rock the songs out, and then they'd leave and go back to their hotels or go back home, and there I was, just me and the producer for 10 days, and the record be over. I do my part. But what I wanted, came with a price, actually, because here it is. I'm 50 now, and I go into the studio with Kevin. I meet Kevin Shirley in the studio. He's our producer. I talked to him on the phone a bunch of times, but this is the first time I meet him. And I go into the recording room, and the guys were already. I'm a little late getting to the studio. I'm traveling from the Bay Area, and the guys are in L.A. where we recorded it. And I walk in, and they're playing one of the songs that we had called "I Won't Get in My Way," a song that I wrote for the band, and everybody's digging on the song, and we're kind of jamming it. And Kevin he comes in and makes a few suggestions, as you do. Or as they do, and says, "Okay, let's get to work, man. Let's do it. You guys, we're gonna get on this song." So I go into the vocal booth, and let me tell you, the studio is about as big as a garage and a half. It's really, really tiny, and we're all facing each other. And I go into my little glass booth, and I have to move Pat's cymbal to get in there. Mm-hmm. It's really tiny. And I sing it a couple times, and then I open the door, and I go, "Hey, man, have a good one, guys," and I leave. And this is how we always used to work. The band would know exactly where the verse and chorus and bridge are, and then they'd always give me the stink eye, like, "Okay, Eric, we got it. We can handle it from here. Go take a nap," and or write lyrics, or whatever you do, and that's how we always made the records. Well, Kevin came back in, and he goes, kind of turned me around like I was a little boy or something. And he goes, no, man, get back in the booth, get back in your hole, and And he goes, no, we're going to do this live, everybody, and I don't want to have any fixes, no overdubs. We'll do some background vocals at a different studio, but for the most part, or for the most part, the whole record, I think there was a couple overdubs by Paul and some background vocals, but for the most part, this record was live, and my part was full-on live. We did 15 to 20 takes of one song a day, and then when we started cutting it close, because we only had 2 weeks to do it, we did 2 songs in a day. And, a couple times I would look at Kevin and go, hey, man, my throat is worn out, man. I feel like I think blood's coming out my nose. And he goes, well, take a breather for about an hour and, do what you got to do and get back in there and do it. And I remember a couple times, I love the guy now. At the moment, or at those moments, I thought he was a total slave driver. And I remember a couple times where I'm singing and I'm flipping him off at the same time. Nobody knows that, but anyway. But I could tell the rest of the guys in the band, except Paul. The guy's a machine, But Billy was looking at me going, God, this is a weird way to work. But actually it's not, because I think this new album sounds like a live album without the audience. And that's exactly what it was. It's blood, sweat, and beers right in there. And no bullshit, no let's take a week off and rest and do it. It's kind of like a little mini tour, when you go out for about 4 or 5 dates and you're like, you're all swinging dicks when you go out there. And then you're then right in the middle of it, you start to feel the pressure of the road a little bit, and you're kind of fighting to kind of stay alive. And then like right before the end of the 2 weeks, you're kind of burnt, but you're still hanging on for dear life. And by the end of, or end of the mini tour or the tour, you're right in the pocket and you're comfortable, in your shoes, or comfortable in your body. And that's how the record was made. And there's times where we were all burnt out, and he would say, "No, man, just give it to me," because it was a genuine, spiritual, soulful experience, and we were up against the gun, and it kind of reminded me of like when I was a kid making demos and not being able to afford a studio, and you make 24 songs in one day. They're not all great, but you pump them out, and that's how this was. It was really awesome. And I was a gigantic fan of Kevin's. He didn't know who the hell I was, but I was a gigantic fan of his work, from Zeppelin and Rush and actually he did a Black Crowes album called By Your Side, which was just flawless, and also I didn't realize this, but I love this band called Our Lady Peace from Canada, and he did them, and he did everybody with salt, and that's what it was on this record. It was just it was a hard-working effort that actually paid off. There was no plan. Nobody like, oh, I'm going to write songs like, in the beginning I thought, okay, well, this is going to be like a Lean Into It album, but it didn't turn out that way at all. Nobody planned it. It just worked out, and all the songs gelled together perfectly.
And with this, you guys are going to be working really hard with the world tour coming really soon in April. Going to Japan.
Yeah, we're going to, we already got a tour booked in Japan. God love those young folks out there and old folks. We campaigned for years and became kind of friends with everybody. We all kind of grew up together. And we've got a tour in Japan and Southeast Asia, and then doing a bunch of festivals in Europe, like with Maiden and Priest and Whitesnake and Ozzy and all the rock and roll outlaws, and then we just got some new dates that came in a couple days ago, like all the cities in Europe, countries in Europe, and big cities, smaller cities, and And then as far as the United States, which we hadn't played in years, we're going to play the House of Blues in L.A. like a warm-up show before we go to Tokyo 4 days later.
Mm-hmm.
But we're playing in Maryland in the summer at a thing called M3. And some American dates are coming in. I don't know how we're going to do in the United States. I know there's some fans still out there, and but it's different in Asia and Europe as far as radio, because radio still plays rock, and in America, rock is kind of like is like the I don't know what would rock be. Rock would be like oh yeah, I had a child from like 3 marriages ago. I never really see him, So we may be sneaking in the back door there, but we're doing it. I mean, our manager said pack 2 suitcases this year because we're going to stay out for a long time.
And then you're going to be promoting this album for a little while, then.
Yeah.
Well, sounds like a good plan.
I mean, this is a good thing. I mean, like, I'm so glad we did a record and not just have the reunion tour. Because, I knew back in the day, every time we did a record, we always toured on it for a long, long time. And I'm so glad that there's more places to play. I mean, Japan's awesome, but towards the end of Mr. Big's career, when Paul left and we got Richie, we seemed to only tour in Japan. And we didn't go other places. I mean, we didn't have help either. We had like no record company, no real management, and we'd spend all this time making records, and we only go to Japan, and that was an overwhelming experience. But it was also kind of a letdown that was the only places that would have us, or that we thought that would have us. It wasn't up to us. Everybody kind of like left us,
mm-hmm.
and we had to go on our own. But now we have a second chance here.
And the second chance has came, and you guys are gonna be doing great with this new album.
Right on, man.
Well, Eric, been a real pleasure talking to you, and wish you luck and success this summer. It's gonna be great. See.
Thank you, brother. Nice talking to you.
All right. Well, you have a great tour.
All right. I'll see you then.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, man.